So I started playing football at the age of 6. I was on that, traditional U.S. pathway, right? We all want to play sports so we can go get that D1 scholarship, get our college paid for, and eventually find a good job, right? Yeah. That's what I thought was going to happen, and, I was on that pathway. Pre-game meal is my breakfast is like my pre-game meal. So what we'll do is it'll be three pancakes, 4 eggs over easy, a little bit of maple syrup. That's my game day. Okay. Like that is my game day. Smashing that on game day. And then my ritual before I go out for warm up, I just say a prayer before I actually step onto the pitch. 2 examples that happened this summer. So I got an offer from a club in Europe, and when they found out I was married, they pulled the contract offer.
What? Really?
Yeah, because they were scared I was going to get pregnant.
Damn. Are most of the women not married?
They're not married. No, I mean, in that team.
I don't know.
In that team, clearly not. In that team, clearly not. And then the second one is again another contract offer in Europe, and they came back, asked me, "What is your weight?" And I was like, during the season or, even during the month, between period, all that stuff, I bounce between 69 to 72 kilos. And they were like, "Oh, sorry, that's too much for us."
Let's flat out. Big teams, big boys, right? My highs and lows, inherit growth, Mr. Deeds. Went from juggling 3 jobs to CEO like I'm Steve. Never been a rotten apple, call me John Appleseed. That's how I bleed. God can see no other man can judge me. Call him Mike, Mr. International, getting cream. Single mother told me worth, and now I'm worth everything. Went from Wall Street to Abu Dhabi, straight rolling in a Maserati with women that feel exotic. My life too prestige.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
flight
going
out,
on, man?
Flat out.
Welcome back to the Last Fight Out podcast. We're your hosts, Mike and Jay. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us across all of our social media channels where we can be found at Last Fight Out Podcast. In case you've forgotten, I'm your host, Jay. You can find me at JLubrio26 across all of my social media accounts, and you can find Mike at
If Mike was here.
Today's guest is someone who embodies resilience, leadership, and reinvention. She went from working in the corporate world to chasing her dream on the pitch, and now leads an entire nation on the global stage. Along the way, she's played international club football in Saudi Arabia and is currently competing in Vietnam, proving that her impact reaches far beyond one country. She's also become a face for major brands, serving as a Puma athlete, and of course, she's the captain of Pakistan's women's national team. Welcome to the show, Maria Khan.
What an intro. Yo, can we run that back? Run that back?
We try to do all our guests right.
That.
Yes,
Maria,
we appreciate
thank you so much.
I think that's probably one of the dopest intros I've had. Thank you. You chat GPT it?
No, I ain't trying to. We do
He's
research.
against ChatGPT, by the
Is
way.
he? Oh, okay.
I am against ChatGPT for things like this. And again, thank you we've been trying to make this happen for a while now. So thank you so much for your time. Obviously, I try to do you right, so because of the personal connection. But
we usually kick it off with a word association, but this is going to be like a phrase, and then you just let me know what's your thoughts on it. So, women equality in sports.
Checkbox item for a lot of people.
Expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so for me, I've been in this I've been playing football for 28 years. So, before these kids were even born, and, before even brands and organizations and everyone kind of hopped on the bandwagon. And, I feel like the more and more the sport continues to grow, and just women's sports in general continues to grow, I just feel that straight up, it's just a checkbox item. For a lot of organizations, for a lot of teams, just trying to hit quotas. Okay. And I think, it's a great starting point, but a lot of times it really just takes away from that authenticity and doing right by the athletes.
Yeah. A lot of performative marketing out there right now. So,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, for example, you only hit people up, brands will only hit people up or hit athletes up when Women's Day is around the corner.
Right.
For example, Emirati Women's Day was just, the other day.
Yeah.
brands are sitting there trying to scramble around and find their, token Emirati woman. And it's like, well, where are you guys, the other day, the whole year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that like stuff like that. So yeah, women equality in sports, I think it's growing. I do think, straight up, we as also female athletes, we do have to make sure that we're able to create a product that is, desirable and attractive, because we got to do our part as well, right? If we're going to sit here and make demands and do all this stuff, on the flip side, that product has to be there.
Well, you have a bend up like Beckham shot, so that's definitely part of the marketing. I mean, look, women have just, I mean, the competition in women's sports across the board has skyrocketed.
1,000%.
Like now, and I've actually watched like more basketball. I've watched some football from women's clubs, and it's actually very entertaining to watch, right? Like just with a whole bunch of like, there's so much to like just distract you in terms of this stuff. When you have a product that's out there that people are willing to put not just the money behind, but also the people capital behind it, then it's only going to go up from there. And then you have athletes such as yourself, which is like just promoting the sport, doing right by it, and also being part of the product that people want to be out there. So you're about everything that you talk about. So,
appreciate that. Like just on that subject, I remember when you talk about, the women's sports is just getting better and better. Just last year, like when I went home to Colorado to train for the summer, I was training with a USL team, which is a women's Super League team. There's two different, groups right now in women's football in the US. And this group and this kind of league is for college players that, are on break during the summer. They need a team to stay fit in. So they all kind of get together, and each state kind of has their own team. So I went back and I was training with this team. And so keep in mind, these girls are, juniors, sophomores, seniors in college, some of them freshmen even. And I'm like, I go back and I'm training with them, and I'm like, yo, I was not this good at their age. Like, I was I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was so impressed. Like, here these girls are, like, they're dogging it out at like a 7 a.m. practice, and then I hear them talking like in their groups, like after training, and they're like, oh yeah, I gotta go do my fitness packet. I gotta go run my beep test. And I'm like, yeah, me and my teammates were not doing that in college at all. We were like, oh shit, we got 10 days before preseason. We got to start working out. So yeah, it's definitely, again, the product is just getting so much better and exponentially. Like the growth is rapid on like how quickly it's getting better.
Yeah. I remember playing college sports. I was first introduced to plyometrics in college, like my senior year. Yeah. And now kids are doing this.
15,
like,
14 years old. They're doing it in high
plyos
school.
And
I wish I would have known about it earlier, because my Achilles hate me right now. Really. They hating me right now.
Yeah.
Definitely. So take us back to the beginning. I understand you have a huge sports lineage in your family, right? So how did that affect you growing up and, choosing to play football, especially in the U.S., right?
And just to add on to that, you have a very famous person in your family who was considered one of the greatest in his sport, right? Or is considered the greatest amongst a lot of people in his sport.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I gotta
no, it's okay. I appreciate the drop. So I do come from, a squash family. So my grandfather, Hashim Khan, is considered one of the greatest squash players of all time. He started what they call like the Khan dynasty. So our family actually ruled the game of squash for decades. And, with him, you had, Sharif Khan, Jahangir Khan, and quite a few other from the family that have just kind of taken the game over. And I think for me, kind of having that influence growing up, I don't think I really appreciated it until later on in life. Because like when you're growing up, it's like, you're just chilling with grandpa. He's taking you to the squash club, and, you're just hitting the ball around. Like, you don't really... Right. It doesn't really hit you. But then, only actually really when I went to Pakistan and started representing Pakistan, do I think I realized what he's done for not just a whole nation, but he literally transformed a sport, right? He took a white collar sport and that was for, an elitist community or society, and he made it accessible. And I think for me to be able to see that and to see, that transformation and kind of understand it and start asking questions, obviously, like, he passed away, and then that's when I started having the questions. And, I do wish he was still around so I could actually ask about it and ask about his time representing Pakistan and stuff, because I know I could have learned a lot, but I think having that influence was really helpful, because I saw resilience. You know, my grandfather didn't win his first world title or he actually didn't even turn professional until he was like 36, like in his mid 30s. You know what I'm saying? And he's winning his first like world title in his mid 30s. And, you know, similar to my story a little bit, I didn't sign my first pro contract until I was 32.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, just
So
I think for me, it's just a little bit of like motivation. I'm like, all right, Gramps did it. I'm going to do it. You know, he went on for however long he can. I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off, type of thing. So yeah, I started very young playing soccer, football. I mean, you tell me what y'all want to call it.
We're going to call it the
proper
name.
Okay, football. Thank you.
What do you prefer to call it?
I got to call it football. My husband going to kill me.
Okay.
So I started playing football at the age of 6. I was on that, you know, traditional U.S. pathway, right? We all want to play sports so we can go get that D1 scholarship, get our college paid for, and eventually find a good job, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen. And, you know, I was on that pathway. So played Division I soccer at the University of Denver, graduated, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Playing pro soccer, football at the time wasn't really an option because the women's pro league at the time was really volatile. One season it was on, one season it was off. And also back in 2013, American girls going to go play abroad and play football in a different country wasn't really common, or again, at least me, like I didn't know about it. I didn't know about finding an agent. I didn't know I had, you know, the different steps to becoming a pro football player in a different country. So yeah, I packed up my bags, moved to Dubai, got my master's, started working, and then eventually found out Pakistan had a women's national team, got my call up, and yeah.
Wow.
Rest is history.
So while you were in the corporate world, and before we transitioned to what that moment was for you to actually make that pivot from the corporate world to being on the pitch, what did you learn while you were in corporate, and sort of like transitioning to from what you've learned, how did you take it onto the pitch?
Oh, for me, I'm so grateful for my corporate experience because I think it's allowed me to go into the football spaces that I'm in with a completely different lens. I think being in the corporate world, it really taught me the power of lobbying, right, for what you believe in and for your cause, right? So in corporate, if you have this idea or, you know, you have this project and you want to execute it and you think it's going to do the business right, you're going to sit here and try to get the key stakeholders on board, right? Because you know if you get those key stakeholders on board, you'll be able to drive your project a lot further than it getting shut down at your direct manager, right? Or your direct line of report. So I think for me, really taking that piece of advice and again, the time management, the teamwork, you know, showing up, and, you know, normally people might think it's the other way around, that sports taught you how to be a good employee. But I think for me, you know, did I wake up every single morning for 10 years thinking I want to sit there and go, you know, help Ford Motor Company build and manufacture all these cars every day, right? I had to get out of bed every morning and try to find, you know, motivation when I didn't have motivation. Right. So it's like, no, it's something that I need to do because, and then you know, transfer that skill or that mindset to sports. I don't wake up every day saying I want to put my body through hell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sit here and wake up in pain every single day. So it's not always, oh, you have to be motivated to do well. No. What about the days you don't have motivation? Right.
That's where discipline comes in, a routine. Right. And
absolutely.
I'm not even a quarter or 5% of the athlete that you are, but for me personally, and Mike as well, we like to be in the gym, and we always tell each other like, there's no motivation. I don't want to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Nobody wants to
go work out.
Nobody wants
to. I know it's
you
good
lying
for me.
If you want to.
It's but you fall in love with the process.
Absolutely.
And when you start seeing results, you're like, all right, I can keep this going. But there's some days where you're just like, I want to sleep, but then you feel guilty, and I think that feeling of feeling guilty overwhelms the feeling of whatever, like, oh, you may be in a little bit of pain afterwards.
So did that passion of football, did that lead? So you graduated and you're in the corporate world. Are you playing in like the women's adult leagues and
social,
keeping it
yeah,
going?
like hella
Okay,
social, like
okay.
super social leagues. Like for like my time that I was in the UAE, you know, we have 7-a-side leagues. We had super amateur 11-a-side leagues, and so yeah, while I was working full time, I was still, you know, messing around, you know, doing whatever 1, 2, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Not even thinking that, oh, I'm gonna go be a professional football player.
Let's be honest, you were
know,
killing
2
them
years
out
time.
there. You were ripping
Yeah.
them. You were like, yo, who's this?
Now, to be fair, the UAE actually has a really good women's football community because so many expats, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of, you know, women that have been in similar situations as myself where, you know, they've been college athletes or they've played in Europe, kind of growing up on those similar pathways. So to be fair, like there's actually some
Competition
pretty
is
decent,
decent, yeah.
there's some pretty decent players out here.
Okay. And what was that moment? Do you remember the day where you're just like, I have to get out from here and I have to take this opportunity. I have to go pro. Because you, like you said, I remember you and I having a conversation at that restaurant around here, and then you told me that you were going to do it, and then you had so much support from your husband Omar. Shout out to him. But what was that moment, obviously, before it got to me, that you decided I need to do this?
I think it was after. So while I represented Pakistan in the early stages, I was still working full time. Yeah, so I was representing my country, working for Ford full time, and I remember after maybe 4 months of representing Pakistan, so we started in, let's say, October 2022 or September 2022, and then we played a 4-nation tournament in Saudi in January of 2023, and it was after that tournament where I was like, I can do this. Yeah. You know, I can do this. The performance I had in that competition was decent, and it was, you know, with players that are playing football full time, right? No. So I was like, all right, I ain't out here getting rinsed. You know, I'm not out here getting rinsed. So, you know, I might have a chance here. Let's, you know, so that's when I think like the conversations and stuff started happening. And I think I really felt it like in my heart that, you know, I can do this.
Okay. So when you decided I can do this, what's high level? What was the process like?
And a quick question: is Ford supporting you, or is it
so
like
supportive.
Use your vacation day?
No, yo, they like that's the crazy part also. But I think also, you know, some organizations are also very smart in kind of how they promote work-life balance and workplace culture. And I do think Ford is ahead of the game, like when it comes to that. And you know, they were so supportive. My line managers. My team's like super supportive. You know, even upper management, everyone passing, hey Marie, how's the football going? You know, and it was promoted within the organization. And I think for me to have that, I know how fortunate I was, because I know I've had teammates that wasn't the same case. Yeah. Right. So yeah, super grateful for that. As far as the process goes, so after that tournament, I got player of the tournament.
Wow.
In that competition. I got
She's
player
like, I'm
of
not
the
getting
tournament.
I
got player of the tournament.
Stop being a dog, man. Yo, I'm a dog.
I'm
a dog.
Blown up. Who team you playing with next season?
We gotta be consistent though. So got player of the tournament that competition. And funny enough, the city we were playing in Saudi, the team that actually signed me, the president was at that game where we were playing against Saudi Arabia. And yeah, after the competition, we were able to connect, and you know, she took a chance, I took a chance, and yeah, super grateful for it.
What's more nerve-wracking, like putting your notice in to leave your corporate job and stability, or shooting a penalty shot in front of a full crowd, God. Game on the line?
That's a good one, yo, because I suck at pens. We're going to keep that here, but I suck at pens. I think straight up, it was probably the resignation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm someone that growing up, you know, financial stability was extremely important to me, because of growing up and what I saw, right? You know, what I saw with my family, what I saw with my parents, extended family. I was like, I want to make sure that, you know, if I ever get the opportunity that, that financial stability piece and just stability in general and consistency, that will be something that's going to be a part of my life. So I think taking that chance and putting that resignation in and just parting ways was freaking scary.
Yeah.
It was so scary, but looking back on it now, I've missed pens, I've missed wide open goals, I've scored own goals, but for me, that's all good, because again, it's not a reflection of the type of player I am or anything, but again, I know that no matter what, I'm waking up and I'm really getting to do what I love.
Yeah. And then how important or was the support? I know your husband was supporting you, but then, your family, was that encouraged? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Or were they like, you have a great job.
Yeah,
you're doing well.
it was
like,
that, especially like, in the South Asian culture, it's like you're either a doctor, lawyer, or engineer.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have my family, my mom made so much sacrifice to help support me and the rest of my, siblings get through college. Yeah. In the U.S., everyone thinks, everyone gets full ride scholarships. But no, not everyone gets full ride scholarships. A team gets allocated 10 scholarships, and then that coach has to split it amongst a roster of 23, 25 girls. Yeah. Right. So I wasn't on a full ride scholarship. So my mom's still having to pay for university for me and my two other siblings, who all three of us are in college at the same time. Yeah.
Shout out.
Right. Mama Khan held it down. You know what I mean? So yeah, she held it down. So, with that, it was, Maria, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah. But then, again, in our cultures, my family was like, to my husband, they're like, yep, she's your problem now. You go ahead and hold it down.
That's really the truth.
They're like, she ain't our problem no more. You deal with this.
Yeah, but I think just on that point, and I think we've spoken about this, I think we're first generation immigrants, or we come from parents who immigrated here, who have like cultural sort of like outside American cultures. And I just think they look at it from a floor perspective. They want you to be stable and have a nice floor, because we're like, we left from wherever we came from, or we sacrificed so much so that you can have a better living. And they think that anything that's not a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, or some sort of business person is like entrepreneurship or like leading your own path of passion. What is that? No.
What do you mean you want to? What do you exactly? Like, and also what we were talking about earlier, right? Where your families were saying, let's, I said, like, you're a stress ball, right? Yeah, sure. You're like, you're a stress ball, and you were born in the wrong generation, right? Yeah. But it's like, here we are thinking like, no, I want to wake up and do what I love. But then our parents are like, no, you can't. No, you can't. You don't.
You cannot. What was it like when you are the captain of the Pakistani national women's team? How did that happen? And then two, how does it feel to have the weight of like a nation on you every time you have to play? Because being the captain obviously means something symbolic. Also, it speaks to the amount of talent that you are. So every loss, you probably feel a little bit more. And then every win, obviously, you ride up with it because, you're part of those wins as well. But how did that happen? And what does it feel like to have like a nation on your back? I don't even know what that could even feel like.
Yeah. So it happened during training camp in 2022. So Q4. Here I am talking my corporate terms. It happened at the end of 2022 when our federation had been reinstated by FIFA after an 8-year ban. And so our women's team actually were the first bit of activity for the federation after the 8-year ban. So we had a regional competition. It's called SAF, which is South Asia Football Federation, where all of the South Asian countries come together and they play in a regional tournament, a regional competition. So we had a training camp for that. I was one of a certain amount of players called up for the national team or for the training camp. And then within that training camp, because after 8 years, right, like, so many things change. So I wasn't part of the team prior to the 8-year ban. Right. So obviously there was a former captain, former vice captain, former leadership, very different group of players.
But
so I wasn't part of that.
Football terms is a long
time. It's a long time, right? Yeah. So many things change, players change. A lot of players weren't even playing, during that 8-year time. Some were, some weren't. So again, there was a lot of factors and variables that went in, and also we had a brand new coach. Right, who was new to the team, new to the federation. So also comes with a different lens, right? So coach felt that I was the player to help him lead the team and kind of help, not enforce, but help kind of build the environment and the community that he wanted his team to be. Okay. So took it on board. It was actually really nice, like how he did it. Like he didn't push it on me and was like, hey, you're captain. Right. It was, hey, this is what I'm thinking. How do you feel? Right. So I think that approach was really nice because it did make me feel like I had a say. And and also a lot of times some players don't want that.
No, they don't.
Right? Like they just want to be able to show up, lace up their boots and get on with it. So I think the fact that he understood that is something that I really respected. And I was like, you know what? No, like I do want this and I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it type of thing. So yeah, here we are almost 3 years later, 2.5 years later. A lot of learnings on the way. Definitely a lot of learnings on the way. It's been probably one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. And I think I've also come to realize the actual importance of it, because prior to it, I'm like, I don't need an armband to do what I need to do, right? If I got a problem with something, I'm going to call it out. If I want to help build something, I'm going to help build something, right? I'm going to do my part in it. So I never felt like I needed the armband to be who I am on the pitch and off the pitch. But now having it and having had it, I think for me, it's something that is probably one of the greatest like honors that I have. And it does come with a lot. It comes, and that Pakistani media is savage.
Yeah, I know.
They're so savage.
I was going to go, you brought it up. So
we can go there. They're savage. It was, I think at first, like it was a lot of learning, right? Everything was new to everyone, right? If you think about it, we were literally a new team. And I think this is where that corporate side comes in, right? And those transferable skills of, let's sit down and let's kind of understand your environment, right? These teammates are new to me. These coaches are new to me. This whole sport environment is completely new to me, right? I hadn't spent much time in football in Pakistan, right? So for me to come in and try to understand the lay of the land before kind of building opinions or passing any judgments or anything, I think was really important. But yeah, I messed up a lot at the beginning. It was definitely a learning.
I was going to say, is it a situation because, you're raised in the U.S., born and raised in the U.S., and that sports mentality, like we like to talk a lot of crap. That attitude, the swagger. So do you bring that to Pakistan? And then are most of your teammates like you, or most of your teammates only played in Pakistan and they have a different upbringing or
so that's where where I mentioned kind of understanding the lay of the land before. And I do feel that it's still really important to be you, right? If coach felt that I was the right one in the moment, so for a reason, right? So character, beliefs, ethics, morals, like this, obviously this work ethic, that kind of stuff, like these are all kind of like foundations or pillars, right? How it gets done, to your point, we have a very different sporting culture. And I think and that's one of the lessons that I learned, right? Is my sporting culture, especially in a different country, different cultural context as well, we can't sit here and fit everything exactly like how we think it might be, right? There's going to be different puzzle pieces, right? So the puzzle pieces I had there are not going to be the puzzle pieces I have over here. So I think once I understood that and figured it out and know how to talk to certain players also, because it can't just be this is how we're going to speak and this is how we're going to be as like a whole team, right? You got to sit down and understand your teammates individually, because also generationally we want to get into that. Generationally, like the generation we grew up in as athletes, completely different to this up and coming generation.
And you can't dog them out.
You can't like some are just not going to respond, right? Like you're not going to be able to get the best out of them, right? So I think for me, just understanding who can take that heat and who just might need the heat turned down a little bit was really important.
Yeah.
Being a captain, you have to like, how many women are on a team typically?
About officially 23.
So you have to 22 other personalities you have to like get to know, and then how to talk to them, each one of them. You have to learn which one you need to put your hand on their back. Some of them want that, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, what's up? Like, I was that type of athlete. Like, I wanted people to let me know when I was messing up. Like, I don't really do like, come on, John, you could do better. I know I could do better. Tell me where I'm going wrong, right?
Absolutely.
But I think generationally, like even at work, there's like a difference. Like when I was coming up as a lawyer and getting trained, people would like let me know like you need to do better. Now you need to be very soft.
Yeah.
It's okay that you messed up. It's okay that you blew this deadline by 2 days and messed me up and I had to stay all night. It's okay. We'll get better the next time. But that's just how it is, right? Like, and you have to adapt. I think as a leader, as a captain, you've learned how to adapt, right? Over time. It doesn't come overnight, but that speaks to the type of character and the type of person that you are adaptable, and that you're able to be an iguana in different situations and change your stripes as needed, but still keeping yourself fundamentally the same. Right?
Yeah, and it's about setting standards and doing what you can to not just maintain those standards, but keep setting new standards every time, right? So yeah, we can change how we are with different players, but at the end of the day, I'm sorry, this is a competitive environment. This is a high performing, or we want this to be a high performing environment, and that requires a certain level of standard. So either you're on or you're not,
right,
you know?
right.
So again, we can sit here and we can, put that arm around you, or, we can sit here and be in your face, be direct. But again, if we're not all coming together and trying to meet those standards and surpass those standards and set new ones every single time we get together, then that's where I start to have a problem. Right. So I think it is also important, like, within leadership, regardless of like what space you're in, is knowing when to take a step back and let someone else lead. And let others lead. And I think that's something I've learned recently, which is hard. Which is hard to do, right? To kind of feel like you take that control and just, kind of put it to the side for a little bit, I think, and when to step in and when you need to step in and identifying those points or those moments.
Yeah, I feel like in sports, your team, you're only good as your weakest link.
Yeah.
So if you could build everyone up, that just makes your job a lot easier. You know?
And I think that's what's so great about, I'll take the national team, for example. Like it's been so great to see because the team is getting more and more competitive, right? Before it would be like, okay, we know who's starting, we know who's getting called for camp, we know all this stuff. But then, as the team grows in awareness, like as what I mean by that is as people start to learn about the women's national team and we get the right kind of eyes and the right kind of attention and our name starts to get out there, then that is one really positive. But then also it starts to attract other players, right? Dual national players, right? Who are Pakistani or have Pakistani heritage and, might have never heard of the national team, right? Which me, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I had never known about the Pakistan national team. So I think the more and more our team gets to continue to be at the forefront and the more newer players are coming in, they're challenging people, and I think that's what competition is, right? Like we got to be here to challenge each other, right? Otherwise, why are we here?
Like ultimately, everyone wants to start. There's only
like,
on
and
the
if you
pitch
don't, and if you don't want to start, why are you here?
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
Like if you sit here and don't want to compete and you just want to sit there and be on the bench because you said, oh, I'm playing for the national team. Why are you here?
No, we don't.
Why are you here to just keep the seat warm? No, you should want to compete and want to fight for your spot.
Yeah, and you've played college in America, professional in Saudi, about to be a professional in Vietnam. Like, what's been sort of like, give us some comparisons and like some differences between the three, because they're very different regions.
Very different. Regions. So different. Yeah. So, between the U.S., UAE, Saudi, and Vietnam, I think, and Pakistan even, like for me, it's really been interesting to see the different kind of structures and pathways. Right. So in the U.S., you had all the resources, you had all the facilities, you had all the access, you had the pathway, right? You had the structure, right? So you knew you had the parents' buy-in, all that stuff. Yeah. Everything's very straightforward, right? Then you come to the UAE, you have facilities, you have resources, you do have access, but that structure and pathway isn't as clear.
Right.
Then you go to Saudi, again, very similar. Then you go to Pakistan.
You got to figure it out.
We're figuring it out. We'll put it that way. We're figuring it out. But the most important thing in Pakistan is you do have the talent pool, right? We're the 5th largest country in the world, right? So that talent pool potential is huge. So yeah, we got something really, really key there, which is nice. And then you go to Vietnam, which for me, I kid you not, has really been one of the most transformative like sport experiences I've had. Like I can't even begin to explain like what it's done, you know, for me, just not as a football player, but just as a person as well. Right. I've never spent time in a Southeast Asian culture, like an extended period of time. Like I'd go on vacation to Thailand or whatever, but I've never spent really time in that Southeast Asian culture. And so to go to a very foreign place where you don't speak the language, you don't look the same, you know nothing about this space, right? And to go and just feel so embraced and so welcomed and so challenged. I remember, you know, just from a football perspective, I remember, you know, at the beginning of every practice, the team will play like just a small, like keep away possession, like small rondo game, we call it. And there's always 2 people in the middle and it's one touch passing around. I kid you not, first 2 weeks, I did not leave the middle. These girls were just passing around me and just laughing. Like they're just laughing at me because here I am like, and you know, like the American side comes out where you just start to get angry. You're like, yo, it's like type of thing. And so, yeah, like I think, but again, it was just that innocence and that humility that I found in Vietnam. But on the field, these women play with so much respect for the game, for themselves, for their country, but they will not hesitate to put the game away with respect. You know what I mean? So they are that dog mentality that, you know, I'm going to fight for everything. I'm going to, you know, die on this pitch. But it's just done in such a humility type of way, and just like it's just been it's been a great experience. And also, again, if you take like the actual football structure, like in the country, these girls are in academies away from their families from the age of like 11, 12.
Oh, so they're ready.
They're like, you know, it's like a factory almost, but
ready.
a little robotic. But again, the way like it's done, like the fact that the government is so supportive of it. Like they just had one of their regional competitions, right? So they were playing Australia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Guam. I don't know if Guam was in there, but like they were in this competition, and on a weekday in Vietnam, like maybe 5 p.m. kickoff or something, there's 25,000 fans at like this women's game on a weekday.
On a weekday?
On a weekday.
Is that the biggest stadium you've ever played in?
No, so the biggest one I've played in was in China when I was with them earlier this year.
How many people were that?
Not 25,000. Not 25,000.
Like, and what was that experience like when you're walking in? You're like, oh, there's a lot of
people. No, like, but again, just to see that, like, it just really goes to show you just like how much the country supports its players. And I think that's also something that is really important and, you know, varies amongst the different countries that I've played in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything to actively grow the game in Pakistan, or do you have some ideas that you would like to put forth?
Yeah, I think for me, like I just love what representing my country like has done for me. You know, it's brought me closer to my roots. It's helped me understand my family, my parents a lot better. In all honesty, it really helped my relationship with my father. Right. So prior to, you know, going regularly to Pakistan, the only time I went to Pakistan is when we went on a family vacation every summer, and we'd go spend 2 weeks, go straight, you know, to my parents' family's houses and then leave right away. Wow. And then we'd come back to the U.S. and, you know, my dad would be my dad, you know, immigrant to the U.S., not knowing any better. Right. Like, I'm sure you guys can relate. Right. Have, you know, and that culture, you know, my household in the U.S. was pretty strict, right? But I didn't understand why. Right. Why is it strict? So my whole childhood, it was always like, you know, butting heads with my dad, butting heads with my dad. And so when I started going regularly to Pakistan, the more and more I started to understand, no, my dad wasn't strict. It was just like, this is he knows.
Raised, yeah.
This is how he was raised. This is how he saw his dad talking to his mom. This is how he saw his father with his sisters, right? Like, so it was like, all right, I get it. And then, you know, I took a step back and I'm like, yo, I was kind of harsh on dad growing up. But again, it was this experience that taught me that. So when you asked the question of like, you know, is there, you know, something I'd love to get, I think it was, I would love to be able to help players get these kind of experience, not just for Pakistan. Like if it's, you know, a player that has a certain, you know, ethnic root, right? Like helping her identify that ethnic root and connecting her, you know, with, hey, this is this potential opportunity or, you know, et cetera, because of it's more than the sport.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it just really just kind of helps you understand you a little better. So I think, you know, that's something that I always find really interesting just because I know like the impact that it had on me. And another thing is after spending time in Asia, like I just would love to continue to try to bring light and eyes to women's football in Asia. For the simple fact of the talent is there, right? It just gets overshadowed by your U.S. players, your European players, your South American players, where there is actually so much talent in Asia that can actually hang. You know, it's not like they're going to get, you know, walked over, you know, if they go and try to play abroad.
That's the important part, and just to use it as an analogy to basketball, for example, right? That I feel like the global competition has the gap is shrinking between the U.S., Europe, South America, and then the Asian and Middle Eastern countries, right? Like the competition's there. Now you're seeing a lot more tighter matches, right? Or even in basketball now, the U.S. can't lollygag like they used to back in the 90s, right?
Now they're almost getting
beat by
no, even now, the FIBA Cups are going on. If they're sending out the C or D team,
it's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to.
So like what happened with the last FIBA team with the U.S., they end up getting washed by Germany and the whoever else like they ended up losing to, because you got to send your best competition, because now the gap is smaller. Closing, right?
Absolutely.
So playing in all these places, what's that done for your perspective on the game itself, and where do you want to see Pakistan 5-10 years from now?
I think it's also just really shown me how far behind we still are. Yes, a lot of progress has been made, a lot, compared to, you know, when I was trying to play back in the day, right? But again, and any move of the needle is a positive move, right? So definitely not discrediting that or taking, you know, the movements that have happened, not taking anything away from that. I think for me, like I said, I would love for us to do our part as athletes and take that accountability to continue to create a desirable product, right? And that product is on the pitch and putting asses in the seats, right? That's what it's going to come down to, right? So I think if we can continue to develop our players, put them on pathways so they can technically get better, tactically understand the game better, younger as they are, right? So I think we are on the right track, and I think there's a lot of moves being made in the right direction. So I think as long as we can continue to bring eyeballs to the game, and, you know, again, I know I spoke about the checklist or checking the box or the quotas and all that stuff. Again, it's a good start, because bringing eyeballs, regardless of whether their intentions are good or not, it's still eyeballs.
Right now, we'll take it.
Yeah, we're going to take it for now.
We can take
Absolutely.
it later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you found any, or I guess what's been the most truest, authentic partnership that you've been involved in?
Ooh. Period panties.
Really?
Sorry, I don't think y'all were expecting that.
I was not expecting that at all.
I don't think you were
I know
expecting
you've done a few
that.
talks and stuff with like dub and stuff, but I'm just like, wow, period panties.
No,
Let's
real
talk about
talk.
that one.
I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. They have like.
I was over here waiting. All right, she's done like a couple of things here. Like, okay, fine. Like, I want to see if I research those.
I'm gonna tell you this actually local UAE company, My Sahara. I kid you not, have transformed my experience as an athlete on my period playing football. So, you know, jokes aside, if I take where I was even 2 years ago and how I was playing while I was on my period, like, it sucked. It sucked, right? Because if, for example, you got a game, you're on the first day of your period, right? You're right after warm up, when you go back into the locker room to change, you're not going and chilling, right? Or just changing your top, putting your socks on, shin guards on, and then heading back out. You're sprinting off the pitch after warm up to go straight to the bathroom to check if you're leaking, right? Because you might need to change your pad, or you might need to change your tampon, or you know something, right? Or I've bled through, so shit, I need to change everything. Then you go in, you play a half, you come off at halftime, you're sprinting off the field after playing 45 minutes straight to the bathroom again to check the same thing, right? Because you're worried, like, I'm bleeding everywhere, or I need to change. So you're not actually able to utilize those 15 minutes that you have at halftime to recover, to, you know, get your mind right again and zone back in.
It's another distraction, right?
1,000%. Fast forward to meeting this lovely lady named Natalie. Shout out Natalie from My Sahara, and actually Hannah Hall for connecting me with her. Period panties. Period panties. And again, it's not like
it's like the tech behind it or something. Or what?
But so that's the
period
thing.
panties aren't new, right? Like they've
been around.
They've been around, yeah.
No, they've been around, but it's just people haven't spoken about them.
Got it.
So what it does is, like, it has like a built-in pad that just absorbs. So like it protects against any leaks, or you don't even have to wear like a tampon or a pad or anything with it.
Okay.
Right. So for me, it's one of those things where, like, all right, I got a game, I'm on my period, I'm gonna put my period panties on and I'm gonna play the game, because I don't have to worry about anything during that 90, or actually not even, it's more than 90 minutes, right? It's, you know, your warm up plus your game. So during that time with my period panties, I don't got to worry about anything. So I'd say, to answer your question, one of the most valuable partnerships I've had. Period panties.
Salute to all women athletes around the world, because now I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, if you have cramps and everything like that, that goes into the game.
The worst.
And I never really thought about that.
You.
I never thought about that.
That's why they're the real warriors, bro.
Yeah.
They're over here cramping up, kicking goals. Yeah. So I have a few rapid fire questions.
Let's get it.
They're supposed to be fun.
All right.
What's more stressful, having Omar in the stands or your family?
Omar.
Okay. Who is your football GOAT?
Brianna Scurry.
Okay. Favorite place to play in?
Favorite place to play in?
To play football in.
Oh. Jebel Ali with my husband.
Okay, cool. What type of music do you listen to during pregame?
I listen to the Quran.
Okay, wow. All right, I wasn't expecting that
Yeah.
one. What's been your highest moment playing football?
Representing Pakistan.
And what's been your lowest moment?
Own goal in my first game.
In
my first cap. My first international cap against India.
That's even worse.
You, my family still rinses me till this day. They don't let me forget it.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Damn, that's trash.
That's when I found out how savage the Pakistani media is. It was during that time.
They went in.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But listen, you grow from it.
Okay.
I got one. What is your favorite pregame meal? And then do you have a ritual, like when you go out, like you tap in the top of the locker room or something like that? Tell me.
Yeah, so pregame meal is my breakfast is like my pregame meal. So what we'll do is it'll be three pancakes, 4 eggs over easy, a little bit of maple syrup. That's my that's my game day.
Okay.
Like that is my game day. Smashing that on game day. And then my ritual before I go out for warm up, I just say a prayer before I actually step onto the pitch.
Okay. All right. Yes. What
The Fatiha before I step out on the pitch.
Yeah. Do you feel that women, at least in this region, let's just focus on this region, are finally starting to get the respect as culture shapers, being athletes and people who are representing brands such as Puma or Period Panties or Dove or wherever it may be? Like, do you feel like you're finally starting to get a little bit of the recognition, we're heading into the positive direction? And if so, then what can we continue to just create that momentum? And if not, why not?
Yeah, I do think a lot of, I spoke earlier about, with the US, right, with the families being on board. So culturally, we know that there's a lot of challenges for women when it comes to family, right, and just the family wanting what's best for their daughter, etc. So I think now that there's more education in the region, and I think that there's more visibility, it's allowing culturally the girls to be able to play a lot easier. So it's still a lot of challenges, don't get me wrong, like especially in this region and in wider Asia, especially in Pakistan as well. So there's still a lot of challenges, but I think again, as the game continues to grow, I think as education continues to increase around the sport and the benefits of young girls being in sport, right? Not just having to do with physical benefits, but again, what it does to girls within, their friends groups, right. What it help the communication skills, the leadership skills, again, those transferable skills that sports teaches you. So I think that is really helping. And I think, what we can do to continue to improve that, again, is just continuing to provide as many opportunities as we can for young girls to get involved in sports, right? Again, it doesn't have to be football, but just getting them involved in something that's extracurricular, right. That's out of their comfort zone, that gets them, in a team environment. I think that's really, really helpful.
Nice. And I guess, what's one word to describe your overall journey?
Unconventional. Very unconventional.
And I know we've spoken about sort of the work that needs to be done. Women need to have to, do their part in terms of putting a product out there that people want to see. That's between men and women, like in anything that you put out there. Yeah. But do you feel that women do have that double pressure that men don't have to be able to perform and represent, saying, hey, women can do it too. Like, we're just as good as the boys, if not. I mean, you guys are definitely strong because you guys are out there with periods and cramping up. So do you feel like that's that double pressure?
I do think that there is a lot more pressure, double pressure, extra pressure, whatever. Yeah, there is, I do believe, more pressure, because also I think there's a lot of external factors that we have to consider that men don't necessarily have to consider. So one of the things that's, currently happening with me and my husband is, the idea of starting a family. Yeah. Right. So the idea of fertility. So I'm turning 35, and, you're getting to that point of, your career as a female athlete where teams aren't running to your door to sign a 35-year-old, athlete, let alone a 35-year-old who has a baby or a newborn or something like that. So, I think for me, these pressures of, us having to consider, okay, do I have a baby and try to come back? Or, I'm 35 now, like, these dilemmas, right, that are coming on board. So I think, yes, men still also, pressures of starting a family and stuff, like, of course, like that is still there as well. But again, for a female athlete, we're going to have to take at least, 12 to 14 months off, right, from the sport. So, the contact part of the sport. So I think, there are those pressures that make things really hard. You have your fertility, you have your period, you have body confidence, right? You know, how do I look in my uniform? You have so much body shaming that goes around. Body
shaming I'm not.
Oh my days. Yeah. There's so much body shaming. Like, so 2 examples that happened this summer. So I got an offer from a club in Europe. Okay, wow. And when they found out I was married, they pulled the contract offer.
What? Really?
Yeah, because they were scared I was going to get pregnant.
Damn. Are most of the women not married?
They're not married. No. I mean, in that team. I mean, I don't know. In that team, clearly not. In that team, clearly not. And then the second one is, again, another contract offer in Europe. And they came back, asked me, what is your weight? And I was like, during the season or, even during the month, between period, all that stuff, I bounced between 69 to 72 kilos. And they were like, oh, sorry, that's too much for us. So, you know, so
That's
again, there's a
crazy.
lot. So again,
People
there's
on their
a,
team, what are they like?
I'm like,
sticks then?
I'm like, have you seen the game footage? Like, no.
But the game
that's
footage
my-
matter. Like, we
yeah.
should play some game footage. Like
Yeah.
watch. What do I
like,
put
why are
on
you
the-
even coming
Yeah,
to me right
exactly.
now? If you just say no, right? Like, just say you're not for us, right? So again, these are a lot of things that like come into play. So I do feel like we do have some added pressure, but also I do know that, you know, the body shaping happens in the men's game as well, or the body shaming happens in the men's game as well.
Yeah, I mean, not as bad, I think, as women.
Yeah.
Like, not as bad as
Yeah.
women, because I mean, just another sport, Serena Williams, for example.
Absolutely.
People went. I was like, this is probably one of the greatest,
Mm-hmm.
just genderless, gender neutral athletes of our time.
Absolutely.
And you still like she needs to lose more weight. She's killing everybody. Like, what is she?
Absolutely. And now that she has lost weight,
Oh, now everybody's criticizing. Oh man, like
she wasn't natural is all
You
this,
can't
so you
win.
can't win,
You
right?
can't win.
So
You can't win.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we have? Yeah. So then, I guess what's next for you, or how long do you think you can go for?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to ride this thing.
Okay,
I'm going to
so
ride
it's
this
no-
thing till
okay.
the wheels fall off. You know, the advice that I've gotten from a lot of my, or from a couple of my mentors in the game is play until you can't play no more, right? And, you know, as long as you can stay healthy, keep fit, and you're feeling good, try to keep playing, because everything else that you want to do, it's still going to be there when you're done.
Okay.
So-
And the love is still there, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the reason why I'm still playing football is because I love representing Pakistan. It's literally the only reason why I'm still playing football. Otherwise, I'd promise you I would pack up my stuff and I would be done. But really, like, I've just really enjoyed the journey of, you know, where our team and where our country is going in terms of football.
All right. So one comment, kind of, and I want to know, and then we'll ask you our last question. So when you got a little young buck next to you, and they're trying to show you up, and you show them back, we're like, yo, I'm still the OG. You be looking
Oh,
at
yeah,
that?
no, he ain't getting by me. No. We going cleats up.
Yeah,
Little
like,
one,
'cause you
little
know the
boy,
little-
little girl getting taken out. No easy goals around here.
Yeah, you gotta let them know, like, I'm still the one. You gotta earn this.
No easy goals around here. You gotta earn that.
Okay.
Nice. So, our iconic question that we ask every guest is, what is your last flight out? And meaning, what was that pivot that you made in your journey, whether it could be early on or, you know, to shift into soccer? What was that moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to do this and this is going to just change my life?
When we spoke earlier, right? You know, what's the hardest thing? You know, if you had to choose between putting your resignation into a very good, stable corporate job or the penalty, but in this case it was, you know, choosing between staying in that stable corporate position or jumping full-time head on into trying to become a professional female athlete. And I think for me, that leap of faith and just knowing that no matter what, my family, my husband, regardless of what happens, the people that love me got me. And I think just knowing that really made that jump a lot easier, and it really helped me get on that flight, just knowing that I had that support.
Nice. Wow. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? If any shout outs, any developments you want to give to the world?
Shout out Period Panties. They're the best thing out there.
Shout out Period Panties.
One time, best thing out there. But no, you guys can find me at Maria Jamila Khan on Instagram.
Okay, cool. So thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in again. Like, share, subscribe. You can find us at Last Fight Out Podcast across all of our socials. You can find me at JLubriel26, and you can find Mike at
If Mike was here.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. See you next week.
My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a last
What's
fight
going
out.
on, man?
Flat out.